They said no creature could be tamed until a human walked in with a leash. The Galactic Council's emergency session had been called for one reason. The Vorthak problem was spiraling out of control. Commander Zex Thul of the Centaurian Defense Force stood before the assembled delegates, his forearms gesturing frantically at the holographic display showing devastation across 12 star systems. The Vorthak have consumed 3 more colonies in the outer rim. Nothing stops them. Nothing even slows them down. The massive creatures were living nightmares, each one the size of a battlecruiser, with crystalline exoskeletons that deflected, energy weapons and claws that could slice through titanium like paper. Their hunger was insatiable, their aggression unlimited. They moved through space in swarms, devouring everything in their path. Ships, stations, entire planetary ecosystems. "We've tried everything," wheezed Ambassador Krill, her tentacles writhing with anxiety. "Plasma cannons, quantum torpedoes, neural disruptors. The beasts don't even notice our attacks." "The Vorthak cannot be reasoned with," added High Counselor Vextar, his reptilian features grim. "They cannot be bargained with. They are pure predator, evolved beyond any capacity for domestication or control." That's when the human delegation requested to speak. Captain Sarah Chen rose from her seat, her small frame dwarfed by the alien dignitaries around her. Humans had only recently joined the Galactic Council, their planet discovered a mere 50 standard years ago. Most species still considered them a curiosity, these strange bipedal creatures with their unusual customs and inexplicable optimism. "With respect, honored delegates," Captain Chen said, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber's translators, "humanity would like to offer assistance." The chamber fell silent. Then slowly, a ripple of what could only be described as polite confusion spread through the assembled representatives. "Captain Chen," Commander Zex Thul said carefully, "I mean no disrespect to your species, but the Vorthak have defeated the combined fleets of 17 civilizations. Your people have been spacefaring for less than a century. What could you, possibly—" "We'd like to try a different approach," Chen interrupted, pulling out a simple braided cord from her jacket pocket. The alien delegate stared at the unremarkable object. "We call it a leash." The laughter started as a low rumble from the Cartesian section and spread throughout the chamber. Even dignified Ambassador Krill's tentacles quivered with barely contained mirth. "A leash?" High Counselor Vextar's voice dripped with condescension. "Captain, these are apex predators that have existed since the dawn of the galaxy. They are not pets to be walked around a park." Captain Chen smiled, that peculiar human expression that so many species found unsettling in its apparent sincerity. "Every species can be understood. Every creature has motivations, needs, desires. You just have to know how to look." 3 weeks later, the emergency beacons started screaming across the Helix Nebula. A Vorthak swarm, 37 of the massive creatures, had emerged from hyperspace and was bearing down on the mining colony of Kepler 438b. The evacuation fleets were still 6 hours out. Commander Zex Thul was coordinating the rescue effort from his flagship when an impossible reading appeared on his sensors. "Sir," his communications officer stammered, "we're receiving a transmission from the colony surface. It's Captain Chen." "That's impossible. The colony was evacuated 12 hours ago." "She says she stayed behind, sir. She's requesting that all ships maintain a minimum distance of 10,000 kilometers from the planet." On the main screen, Captain Chen appeared, standing in what looked like an open field on the colony's surface. Behind her, barely visible in the distance, moved shapes that defied belief. Vorthak, but they weren't destroying anything. They were circling. "Captain?" Commander Zex Thul's voice was tight with disbelief. "Please confirm your status." "All good here, Commander," Chen replied cheerfully. "Just working through some behavioral issues with the pack." "Pack?" Chen gestured behind her, and the camera drone pulled back to reveal the full scope of the impossible scene. 37 Vorthak creatures that had terrorized the galaxy for millennia were moving in organized patterns around the human. As Zex Thul watched, Chen raised her hand, and the nearest Vorthak, a massive alpha specimen, lowered its crystalline head. She scratched behind what might have been its ear. The thing about apex predators, Chen's voice came through clearly, is that they're usually social creatures, pack hunters. They need hierarchy, structure, purpose. She held up the simple braided leash. And sometimes they need someone to remind them that there's more to existence than just endless hunting. Over the following hours, the impossible became routine. Captain Chen walked among the Vorthak like a farmer tending livestock. She fed them. Apparently they found certain mineral compounds from the colony's mining operations quite satisfying. She established boundaries, rewards, consequences. She treated them not as unstoppable monsters, but as very large, very confused animals who had been operating without proper guidance. When the evacuation fleets finally arrived, they found Captain Chen sitting in the shade of a massive Vorthak, using its crystalline hide as a backrest while she read reports on her tablet. The creature's enormous head rested peacefully in the grass, its eyes closed in what could only be described as contentment. How was all Commander Zexthul could manage when he finally met her on the colony's surface. Chen scratched the sleeping Vorthak behind its ear ridge, earning a deep rumbling purr that made the ground vibrate. Humans have been domesticating apex predators for 40,000 years, Commander. We turned wolves into companions, raptors into partners, even convinced cats to pretend they like us. She smiled that unsettling human smile. We just had to figure out what the Vorthak needed. And what was that? Purpose, Chen said simply. They weren't destroying civilizations because they were evil. They were doing it because they were bored. Imagine being the most powerful creature in the galaxy, with nothing meaningful to do. She gestured to the peacefully sleeping creatures around them. Now they're part of something bigger. Guardians instead of destroyers. Within a year, human Vorthak specialists were stationed throughout the galaxy. The great creatures that had once been harbingers of destruction became the universe's most effective peacekeepers and planetary guardians. They served with loyalty and pride, their incredible power finally channeled toward protection rather than devastation. The Galactic Council still didn't entirely understand how the humans had accomplished the impossible, but they no longer questioned the species that had looked at the galaxy's greatest nightmare and asked, "Have you tried giving it a treat and telling it it's a good boy?" After all, every creature, no matter how fearsome, just wanted to belong to something greater than itself. And humans, as it turned out, had always been exceptionally good at building families.